So, what is there to learn from someone that is not learning things themselves? What is there to learn from someone who does not have a vision for life, that does not have something that they are going for or thinking different from the rest of the people? And the reason that I say this is when you reach middle age, I would call this a midlife realization, not midlife burnout. I'm not going to call it midlife burnout because I'm not burned out. It's just this ultimate realization that humans really can't teach me any more things. Like, I can't learn anything from the human condition anymore because I seen how humans are so much that it's like, what else do I have to learn here? You know? And I ask myself, it's very hard for me to be surprised by people. It's very hard for me to be wowed by anything. It's very hard for me to be fooled and tricked by anything because I know how crowds of people are. I know the way people act. I know the things they get into. I know the way they show off for other people. I know all the tricks of the trade. And when you don't have anything else to learn, you just realize how. And I'm not saying this to down people. I'm actually saying this to provoke people to find an art and a craft because that's what I've come to. You come to this realization that there is only something that it's like, okay, now what do I do? I reached this point in my life, which really isn't a point. It's always going to be now. But I say, well, okay, now what? You wake up and you realize it's just the same things over and over and over and over again. Then that's when it's time to start thinking differently about things. And the reason why I want everyone to understand that comes to this channel, I really want people to understand this about myself. The reason that I am on this, the way that I speak in these videos, is because I know if I don't stay busy with something, if I don't surrender every day, if I don't do things to occupy myself and cope with life, I know how I am as a person. I've already been in some very deep and dark, depressive places. And when I say this, I have been in these places for months, years at a time, not just a week, a month. I've been in dark places for years and years. And this is why you see someone like Charles Bukowski, he was beat by his father from the age of 6 to about 11 or 12. I forget what he said, but he said that taught me something. That was kind of my schooling from my father beating me. It showed me something in life. It pushed me to be the person that I am. And for me, the thing that pushed me was being a drug addict for 16, 17 years, was being addicted to the needle and heroin and all these other drugs. that showed me something so valuable in my life that I really can't describe. It beat me to a pulp. It literally destroyed my ego. It literally squeezed the orange and squeezed every little bit of juice out of the orange, which is my pride and my ego. And the pulp was left with no liquid in the pulp. That's how much I got squeezed. And there was a lot of things that I did in my life. I was very cruel. I was a very cruel child because I was an idiot, throwing rocks at animals and doing some other things I did. And what was I thinking? What was I thinking? I was looking at these things like toys or something, like I was just messing with toys and I can just break some toys and I can just do whatever because I thought that it was cool and fun at the time. And I was a cruel little bastard. And I deserved everything that I got. I deserved. I deserved my concussion. I deserved having hepatitis C. I deserved the pain that I get. I deserved drug addiction. I deserved everything that I got in this life. And I even prayed for that. I said to myself, I said this. I said, God, if I need to pay for the things that I did, if I need to suffer in this life, then let it be. Because I couldn't, I'm ashamed of the things that I did. I'm absolutely ashamed of what I did because it was something that felt. It was something alive that I did out of foolishness and ignorance. And even sipping this coffee, I'm thinking, you don't deserve that coffee. You don't deserve that coffee. You see, this is why I'm so grateful and thankful for things, because I know some of the things that I did, I deserve the wrath of God. Now, I know some people don't believe in God. Some people don't think there's a God. Listen, I'm going to be honest with y'all in this video. I don't know if there's a God. I have no clue if there's a God. And I just want to say, I know that the act of surrender is very misunderstood. The gospel of Jesus Christ is very misunderstood for an individual person. And I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to sit here and if people want to know about it, go and read these things for yourself so that you can get them. This is how I became what I know of a lot of the things. I also give credit to my God consciousness because that got me through some very dark times, was putting my refuge into God, you know? And I think that the reason that you come to this place where you die to rise again. See, I feel like I've went through the process of literally dying. I felt like I've already died. I felt like a lot of the old me is dead. I'm not saying that there isn't things. Listen, you cannot change a lot of the way that you go about doing things naturally, but you can change the way that you think. I know you can do this because I'm doing it now and I did it for myself. I was watching a YouTube short here of the rapper Russ. And he's someone that inspires me a lot, even though I don't listen to all his music. I don't even really listen to his music like that. I just like listening to him when he talks. But he said something like, the guy that I look at 3 months ago, would I want to mess with that guy? Would I want to fuck with that guy? Now, this is what he said. And I look at me months ago and I go, how did I get there? How did I let that happen to myself? And I'm not saying that I wouldn't have messed with me months ago, but I was letting myself get in these places. I was doing so much of this stuff to myself. And now that I realize that, I can't do that to myself no more. See, I'm not going to say, um, I don't ever want to go back to that place or I can't let that happen again. No, I'm not going to let that happen again. See, if you don't affirm in your mind, if you don't have an affirmation in your mind saying, I am not doing that again. You see, you get to the end of the road and you say, enough is enough here. Like, how do you think that we have things like penicillin today? We can amputate a limb without having to saw it off or put a thing in our mouth to bite down on and drink a little liquor before they saw your leg off. How do you think that we have these medications and stuff, you know? It it took somebody different. It took someone that was thinking outside of the box of the normality of how everything is today. And see, I don't have time for normality. I don't have time for mediocre things and mediocre people anymore. And when I say mediocre people, it's probably not how people think I mean it. I mean mediocre as the way we think, the way we act, the way we carry ourselves in this life. You see, mediocre will always follow mediocre. Mediocre will always like mediocre. Mediocre will always be into what mediocre people do and keep doing. Mediocre will always act like other mediocre folk. You see? And cheers to anybody here. And I want to give a shout out to all the people that have, now I don't get hardly any donations on this channel, but I want to give a shout out to those who did. I see, the names on there and stuff, and I appreciate that a lot. People don't realize how much that really helps, when it's, I don't care if it's 5, 10, 20, 50, some people gave, a pretty substantial amount, and I appreciate that. Now, I know I said this a while ago, but see, sometimes I think people feel like when they give, they want something back. And see, I don't look at giving like that. I do this because I want to give this freely. And if somebody else wants to give freely, that's up to them. But I think, we need to give more to, and I'm not telling anybody to give me money. I'm not telling anybody to go to my PayPal and give me money. That's not what I'm saying. But I think we need to get outside of ourselves more. We need to say, look, yes, I'm going to take care of myself, but it's really not about me. It's not about me. See, this is how we get in these depressions. This is how we get in these ways because we're so internalizing on all of what's going on in our mind and our thoughts that we're getting stuck in that, you see? And what I've learned is through getting outside of myself, through doing these videos, through being honest with other people. Here's how I see a real person. Here's how I see it's not about if you're a boring person or you're somebody that has energy and all that stuff. It's not about that. It's about how honest can you be? See, if you're going through something like somebody died in your family, or you had an accident, or you're struggling with some kind of internal problem that you don't understand, are you able to be honest with yourself? Because, see, most people, they are holding things in because, they are being selfish with their internalizing. They're not letting other people know about things. They're not being honest with what's really going on in their lives. And then they hold these things in. They keep internalizing it. They keep hating others. They keep hating life and all this stuff. And I wrote a long paragraph to a subscriber and I said, I know how it is to fight tooth and nail with yourself. I'm talking about, in the scary movies when the nails are going across the floor and you see how they were being drugged by, a demon or something. But what that represents when these people are being drugged by a monster or a demon and their nails are on the floor and you see the nail scratches in the floor. What that represents is yourself. You are the demon fighting with yourself. And this is why surrender is so important for me, because I give up fighting myself. I give it to God. Even if there is no God, I give it to God. The first thing I do when I wake up, this is what I do right here. And I go into my prayer. Now, I'm not going to pray my prayer because I have my own prayer, but that I internalize on myself, you see? I'm internalizing with what's going on with me in my own mind and in my own head. And I'm laying me down. I'm laying it down. And for me, metaphorically, I say I lay me down at the foot of the cross. I lay me down in front of the sacrifice, which is Jesus Christ. Now, am I going to be this perfect guy? Am I going to, be this righteous saint? No, because that's not what I am. That's not what I am. You see, I am a freak. I am a monster. Just like Jordan Peterson said. He said, be a monster, but learn to control that monster. See, you are the demon itself. I am the demon itself. We all are the demon. But are you in control of your demon? Are you exercising your own demon? You see, most people, they don't even know what that means. They don't even know what it means to exercise their own demon because they have never looked at the man in the mirror. They have never looked at themselves. So they don't know what that means to internalize on them kind of things. I know about this more than most people because I don't hear people talking about it. So that's how I know by discerning things, I can tell who is doing this for themselves and who isn't doing this for themselves. And when you are constantly learning things for yourself, and then you see that other people are doing things out of blind ambition, they're ignorant of something. When you see that, it bothers you because you realize what you're doing for yourself, you're doing for your best interests. You're worried about your health. You care about your health. You care about the life that you still have. You care about the way that you carry yourself. You care about these kinds of things. And then when you see that other people don't care and you see that they're not willing to learn, then you go, well, what is the reason for me to even associate myself with this person? There's no reason for me to even associate myself with these kinds of people. You see, I don't have time for mediocre people. I don't have time for mediocre thinkers. I don't have time for people that keep downplaying on their own life. They keep fighting tooth and nail with themselves. They're in this they're in this stupid battle against themselves. They're in this irrelevant, petty frame of mind where they're still going by what the rest of the world has to say. They're still determining their lives off what other people think. Now, this clipped a little bit, and let me know in the comments if this volume is okay, or give the video a thumbs up to say that the volume's okay. Now, it's not clipping now, but yeah, we are still going by the validation of the world. See, if you're still seeking validation and approval from other people, you are going to keep having all of these problems. You're going to keep fighting with yourself. You're going to keep attempting to be something that you're not. And you're going on this vicious, vicious cycle. And you're putting all these pressures on yourself, you see? Now, there is a YouTuber that I was watching here. And she was talking about how she needed to get her mental health right, and I have absolutely no problem with that. Of course, I would want somebody to look at why their mental health is bad, to self-reflect and say, okay, well, why am I having these issues? And as she's talking, I understand what she means, but I know that she doesn't understand why this happened. See, I understand. I understand why it happened because I went through the same things. But she was talking about how she has this, like she had this YouTube burnout thing. And see, people that say I'm burnt out are people that are either pretending to be something, they're either trying to put on a show for other people, or they are trying to live up to the expectations, the conformities, the way of the world. They're seeking the approval and validation of other people. And this is why they burn out. See, I don't have that problem. I don't have that problem because I'm not being something that I'm not. You know, do I get a little nervous? Yes, we all get nervous. We're all human beings. Of course, I get nervous. Every time I press the record button, I'm a little bit shaky, but I'm shaky anyway. I'm so used to it, it doesn't even matter. But see, people I understand if this is doing something to your mentality, but this is what people need to understand. If you say something like I have burnout because I was on YouTube and I just got burnt out from it, that means that you were doing something that really wasn't you. You were attempting to try to fit into something. You were trying to impress other people. And this is how burnout comes, is because we're trying to conform to the ways of the world. And see, this is why I resonate with the gospel so much, because it says he who is a friend of the world is at enmity with God. And that means you're at enmity with yourself. Do you see? Did you catch that? If if I am a friend of the world, I am at enmity with God, which equals myself. You see, God equals everything to me. That's what the word God means to me. And that's why I say God has given God for God Himself for us. This is why I put the name SBN Natan God. It means somebody but nobody. God has given God. That's what it means. My name means He has given unto, to give. And my mother named me the right name. That resonates with me absolutely, because I like to give. I like to express myself. I like to be honest with people. I like to talk about what is going on, what I'm thinking, the things I've been through. And see, when I see people like this, it isn't that I'm saying that I'm better than people. It isn't saying I'm on top of you because I've learned and you still didn't learn something. It has nothing to do with any of that bullshit, because you know me. I don't have time for bullshit. I don't have time for petty things. I don't have time for mediocre stuff. I don't have time for people that downplay their lives every day and they don't do nothing to change it. You see, here's the problem that I have with this whole thing with other people. Yes, yes, they are being honest about how they feel. And I can respect that as a person. They're being honest about how they feel. They're being honest about the way that they're going through life, and they don't like going to work. They don't like doing certain things. They see how things are unfair and all, and et cetera, et cetera. But the thing that it gets under my skin, because I reflect this back onto myself, but I can't make another do this. The thing that makes me get a certain way is they do nothing to change it. They do nothing about it. They just stay in their muck and mire. They are a pig returning to their slop. I'm sorry to say this, y'all. I can't be this soft-spoken guy for people. I just can't do it anymore, because I'm not going to do it for myself. I'm not going to enable myself anymore. You understand? And when you come here, you're not going to hear what you want to hear. It's just not going to happen here. I don't want people, I don't care if people like me. I don't care if I have to seem like the antagonist. Because the thing is, I'm going to actually teach us something that we don't know, because I'm continually learning for myself, you see. And I don't understand why people keep downplaying on themselves. Why do we keep fighting with ourselves? Why do we keep getting ripped by our own demon, our own monster, and we're clawing on the floor saying, "No, you won't take me. No, you won't get me, motherfucker. No." And then your pride, your ego is just so big that you can't surrender. You can't let it go. You can't say, okay, I got to stop. That's enough. Let me take a minute. You see, the nails are not, you're not going to stop scratching the floor. You're not going to stop having most of these problems until you surrender yourself to something. And you don't even have to believe in God. I'm not even telling you that you have to believe in God. It's just the act of doing it. And I'm not telling anybody that they have to do anything. Please don't get me wrong when I say this. I'm not forcing anything upon anybody. I just know that it's helping me. I know that it's making me learn more here. And see, while I'm here, I want to make a difference while I'm here. I don't want to be just another mediocre person. I don't want to be just another sheep. I don't want to be just another person uh, following everybody else. I don't want to be just another person that's doing what everybody else is doing. I don't want to be another person that's talking down upon myself all the time. That's stupid. That's dumb. That's idiotic. That's insane to keep doing to yourself. But then what the person will say that is too lazy to make a change, they'll say something to combat what you're telling them because they're too lazy to change something about themselves. And then they'll have everything to say like, well, it doesn't mean that you're this because you feel this way. It doesn't mean that you're going through this. It's not your fault. Yes, it is your fault. It is your fault. See, they're not going to tell you that because they're so used to enabling themselves that they're not going to tell you this kind of shit. You see? Now, if we catch on to this, if you catch on to this, see, this will go over most people's minds. It'll go right past their thinking. They'll think about it, and then the next day they'll forget about it, and they'll go right back to the muck and the mire. They'll go right back to all the slop. They'll go right back to downplaying themselves. They'll go right back to fighting tooth and nail like I did. I know what it's like. I know what it's like. And it's like when I see a reflection of how I was doing things to myself and I see that in my fellow man, it does something. It's almost like you have to convict people of what they're doing for them to get to a point where they can be so they can understand what they're doing to themselves. You cannot do this. There is no soft approach to this. There is no cuddly way of doing things. You see, it's just like this is why I resonate with Charles Bukowski so much because he said, like Mickey Mouse. He couldn't stand Mickey Mouse. I can't stand. We should not be teaching our kids about cartoons. We shouldn't even be giving our kids cartoons. Why don't we give our kids something to build? Buy them a tool set and something to build. Don't get them Mickey Mouse. We're making our kids stupid. We're making them dumb. We're turning them into retards, giving them this cute and cuddly thing, Mickey Mouse. And anybody that watches cartoons, I'm not, look, if you do that, you do that. I'm just saying for children, this is dumbing them down. And this is why I resonate with Charles Bukowski because he said cute and cuddly things it's not human. It's not human. But then again, I'm not into total bloodshed and violence either. I don't mind if two guys, in sports go into a ring like Muhammad Ali and George Foreman and Joe Frazier and all them guys. I don't care if people do that because at the end of the match, they're going to beat each other up a little bit. They're going to bleed out their nose. They're going to have a black eye. They're going to be bruised up. Their bones are going to be hurting. and they fought each other, but they're going to make up after the match. They're going to shake hands and say, "Good fight, brother." You see? Why can't we do that kind of fighting if we do fight, if we're still fighting ourselves, you see? But the way that we go about killing each other, destroying each other in this way where it's way over here, or we're being too cute and cuddly with our kids. This is not human. This is fake. This is disingenuine. It's stupidity. It's idiocy. It's ignorant. It's things that do nothing for anybody. It does nothing for nobody. And this is why I always talk about this. I always talk about neutrality. I always talk about a higher abyss. You see, I always talk about knowing both sides. You see, knowing the metaphorical demon and angel on each shoulder. You see, so I know that the more that we reflect on ourselves, the more that we reflect on ourselves in this life, and the more that we understand certain things, this is when you will be free to be. See, you're never going to be free to be if you're still seeking approval. You're going to have YouTube burnout if you're still pretending to be something, if you're still trying to get the validation from other people, if you're trying to fit into a mold somewhere. It's never going to work for you and I. As soon as we can get this through our heads, that is when we will be free to be what we're really meant to be. And then the little extra things, well, that's up to the individual. You know, you can't make anybody do anything. You can only do what you do for yourself. And then when you do what you do for yourself and learn what you learn for yourself, you put that out into oblivion. You upload a video, you do the video and you put it out on blind faith. That's what faith is to me, if I even use the word faith. It's having this blind faith saying, look, I don't know what the hell this is going to do. I don't know if there is a God. I have no idea if our energy when we die goes somewhere. I don't know if we have a soul. I don't know anything. I'm just going by blind faith with it. I'm doing it because that's what I know, and I'm being honest with myself. And at the end of the day, if you're not being honest with you, then what are you doing? We're all just being dishonest with ourselves. We're all putting on this game. We're all putting on this front. We're all putting up this stupidity, this idiocy. We're all living in ignorance, and we're all feeding each other bullshit. Bullshit, 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 and more bullshit. And bullshit also means downplaying on yourself every day, doing nothing to change your circumstances with your thinking, because this is what it's all about. It's the way you think. This is what it's all about. I don't have to come on here and have a jet plane behind me. I don't have to come on here and be wearing all these clothes with jewelry on and have fake teeth, gold teeth, platinum teeth, or be wearing a crown in a video and acting like I have money. I don't need to do any of that bullshit, because it's just bullshit. It's just putting on for other people, you see? So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? And the last thing that I want to end on, this is what I wanted to say before I ended the video. On my channel, when you see, I'm not somebody that gives a lot of feedback, or I'm not in touch with the audience. But see, people have to understand that when I do these videos, this is me giving what I want to give. This is me giving all that I have, you see? And I know for a lot of other platforms, other people are kind of in touch with the crowd. They're kind of how can I say this? I don't know how to say this to people. But see, if I go by the thoughts and opinions of everybody else, then I can't be myself. You see, if I'm listening to other people, then I will start having to do what they want me to do. You see, I have to live up to their expectations. And see, I'm not a person to do that. And any other person that wants you to do that, then they need to check themselves, you see? Because at the end of the day, this thing, it's about you and I. It's about looking at ourselves. It's about looking at ourselves. So yeah, right when I get into explain what I was going to explain next, I lose train of thought. So maybe that would be a time to end the video here. But I won't lie to y'all. When I get quote lonely, this is what I do. I make videos and I sit here and I talk to myself. I talk into a phone. I'm not talking to anybody, but I know that the energy, the energy that's here right now is going to, the paradigm of that is going to go from the phone speaker or the headphones or the TV or whatever someone's listening to. If you think that someone is there, then they're there. It's all about how you're thinking about it. You see? And another thing, I would tell people, if you don't talk to yourself, talking to yourself does not mean that you're crazy. Talking to yourself does not mean you're nuts or schizophrenic. I talk to myself all the time. I am my own best friend. I am my own best friend. And I would tell anybody, if you're somebody that struggles with obsessive thoughts, now let me say something. There's nothing wrong with obsession. It's, can you control the obsession? I would tell people, be obsessed. Have something that you're absolutely obsessed about. If it's an art, if it's a craft, if it's making up hair, if it's cutting people's hair, if it's mowing lawns, if it's doing sculptures, painting, drawing, jogging, exercising, building cars, whatever it is, making airplanes, making anime, I don't care what it is. Look, if it's something you like, love, or you're obsessed with, do that thing as much as possible and don't let anybody stop you. Don't let the world tell you anything, because they don't matter. It matters what you're doing. It matters what you're doing. It does not matter what they think of you. It doesn't matter what I think of you. It doesn't matter what you think of me. It matters, what do we think of ourselves? That's all that matters, is what do we think of ourselves? And I know for me, I'm putting up a website right now. I'm in the process of doing that. I'm going to be putting up my writing, my art, and other things. I'm going to be putting that up eventually. I don't know when that will be, but I know for me, I write in a notebook every single day. I'm obsessed with writing. I write all the time. I fill up notebooks like you wouldn't believe. And I know that helps me to cope. This is all a cope. It's all a coping mechanism. That's all we can do here is cope. That's all we can do here. I wouldn't hope at all. I don't like the word hope. I can only cope. I can only find things that I like or love doing to keep me occupied. I can only, and listen, we all have delusions, y'all. We all have delusions of grandeur. If you have some kind of vision and you know that it's a delusion in your head, who cares? You're the only one that's thinking that. If you have some kind of vision, this is another thing. If you have some kind of vision, then go for it. What is there to lose? What is there to lose? Your life? We're going to lose our life anyway. See, this is why I resonate with the gospel of Jesus Christ, because he died and rose again. And see, that's how my life has been. I have died. I have been dead in my life before. And I rose again only by the grace of God. I have only rose again because of resonating on God consciousness, of thinking there's something for me to do here. There's something that I need to be doing for myself, because I know if there isn't, I know how I'm going to go back to that dark place. I know the dark place waiting. I know what hell is on earth. I have experienced my own hell in dreams, with physical things, and with mental, psychological things. I know all about these things. So I know when people are talking about what they're talking about, I understand what people are talking about. And please, if anybody has anything that they need to get off of their mind or anything, I read the comments. Put your thoughts down. Let it out. Be honest with yourself. What are we holding on for? What is there to hold on for? Why are we holding on for dear life? Why are we fighting tooth and nail? For what? For what? What is it proving? What is it doing? And I say this for all of us. I'm not just saying this for people that may be depressed or lonely or thinking suicidally or going through something or thinking some bullshit in their head, because you have to realize your thoughts are bullshit. Your thoughts are things tricking you into believing them. And some thoughts you have to replace with other thoughts. Some of the thinking that we have, this is what I mean by changing. We have to change the way that we think about some things. If we don't, then they're going to remain the same way. Nothing is going to change if we don't change it. Nothing is going to just materialize in front of us. See, we have to get out of this delusion that somebody's coming to do something for us. If we're overweight, eventually, someone's going to come and get you up. Someone's going to put you on a diet. If you're a drug addict, somebody's going to come and say, hey, look, what are you doing to yourself? You have to get help here. That you're destroying yourself. Your demon is destroying you. You're not exercising that demon. You're letting that demon run your life. And I know all about that demon. I have looked that demon in the eye so many times, and let me tell you, yet again, I have to give the glory. I have to give the glory to the Trinity, God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. I have to give the glory to that, because that is the only thing that has set me apart from that kind of living, from smoking, drinking, shooting up, smoking coke, doing benzos. That is the only thing that deterred me from that, was the gospel. Now, how can I not give something credit that didn't help me? Because that is the thing that helped me. I needed that for a time. You see, it doesn't mean that I'm some goody two-shoes saint sitting here telling you to be a saint. That's not what I'm doing, because I am not a saint. I'm a sinner and a saint at the same time, mixed together, you see. And, I'm a freak. I'm I'm a dirty old man, like Charles Bukowski says. And I'm not saying that I'm like Charles Bukowski or Charles Bukowski. I'm just saying when somebody influences me in a way where it stirs me up, that's what I like. I don't like this soft rhetoric. I don't like these people that enable you all the time. If people are telling you something that is always making you happy or is always making you feel good or you like it, these are the people enabling you. These are the people that probably really don't care about you because they don't care about themselves at all. They're just telling themselves all these things. They're lying to themselves when they say these things, a lot of people. And I'm not saying everybody, I'm just saying, do we realize how deep this mask and facade is that we wear? And this is why we're so scared to change something, because we don't think there's going to be something else there to fill the shoes if we change. And this is what surrender and God does for me. It fills the shoes of a part of my brain and my consciousness that I can't fill with nothing else on this earth. I have looked into everything. I have fought tooth and nail. I have done everything in my power to not surrender, to keep fighting, to find something that would get rid of this burden, that would make me see certain things. And there's nothing else. There's nothing else. I know that the world cannot do this. I know that there is no man or woman that can do this. And this is why I put God first. I don't put any man first. I put God first. I only surrender to God. I don't surrender to anybody. I don't worship idols. I don't bow down to any man. I don't put any man on a pedestal, and I don't look down upon any man either. So that's the frame of mind that I'm in. I'm just giving you what is going on with me. I'm just a guy on the internet. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not anything. I'm just telling you what I know for myself. And I know if other people would get honest with themselves, you would be surprised. You would be very surprised what happens if you start getting honest with yourself. You know, when you get to the end of the road with something, you'll know what I mean. You'll understand what I'm talking about. And see, a lot of these people, they're not getting you to the end of your road. They're holding you back. They're keeping you back. They're keeping you stuck in a spot. Mediocre people are keeping you thinking mediocre. They're keeping you in that mediocre spot in life. And then they'll tell you something to enable you again. See, they don't realize what they're doing. They don't even realize what they're doing themselves. And this is what discourages me, is because I know that I'm not going to do that to myself anymore, because I know where it leads. I know where the dark place goes. I know the pit of despair. I know those suicidal thoughts and depressions more than anybody, because I went through them for months and years. I have experienced that. I've lived through drug addiction. I had people in my family OD from drugs. You know, I know about all these things. The only thing I can't say is that I'm not a gangbanger and I have never been in jail. That's the only things that I can't say. Everything else, it's old news, and it's old concepts. I want to think different. I want to do different things. I want to do something while I'm here. You know, I want to make something happen in my life. Um, and in time, if I'm still alive, in time, things just don't happen right away, and I'm cool with that, because I'm grateful for this four-cornered room here. This is what I got. This is what it is for me. So I have to take for what it is. But this is not all that I that I want for myself, you know? So anyway, y'all, take it easy, take care of yourselves. Any support is appreciated. Thank you to those who have supported, who will support. And if anything, give the video a thumbs up so this can get out to more people, because more people need to hear this. More people need to hear this than what you think. Don't be selfish. Don't keep these things to yourself. You know, spread them. Give it to somebody else. This is what's going to make all the difference in our world, is if we give it to another person. Don't ever keep it to yourself. Now, keep that, like I said in the last video, keep that little tiny hot coal, that 1% or 0.001%. I call myself a 0%er. And I'm not going to explain what that means, but I would say keep that 0.001%, that little tiny hot coal, to yourself, so that when you need it, when it's need be, that you can have something to, start you up again, to get you out of that pit of despair, to help you cope with something. Don't just give everything. Don't give all of your energy. You have to keep something to yourself. You have to keep something with you too. It can't just all the time. I mean, all the time, because then you will start experiencing the burnout that I just talked about. And this is what a lot of YouTubers do. Yes, they're kind people. They care about people. They want the best for people. But they get burnt out because they're doing way, way, way too much. They're forcing themselves to do too many things at one time. And you can't do that, because all you're going to do is burn yourself out. And then the person is going to expect more from you. Then when you don't have that to give, they're going to say, well, what happened? You were so energetic when I seen you the other day. When I heard you the other day, you were this way. Now you're this way. See, this is why, if we understand we are monsters, we are freaks, but can we control that? Let's not be too cute and cuddly, but let's not shed so much blood or be so violent. You see? And once we understand this state of mind, you'll start understanding itself. Because I think understanding and philosophy has to do with neutrality. It has to do with understanding the yin and yang of everything. That's what I think it means. It's just the contradiction of everything, the hypocrisy of everything, the irony of everything, the conundrum in everything. You see, that's what philosophy and these things mean. So anyway, y'all, I'm going to let y'all go. This is really long. My other video I did had trouble uploading, so I will let y'all go. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all again.